Hello, my name is Orla. Welcome to my channel. In this channel I read short stories for children and adults who are interested in them. In this video I'll be reading another story from Girls Who Slay Monsters, written by Ellen Ryan, illustrated by Shona Shirley MacDonald. And these are daring tales of Ireland's forgotten goddesses. Ooh. Get cozy, cuddle down, and we will begin. In this video, I'll be telling the story of Uaine. That's her there. She is the suspected Loch monster. Uaine was a gentle goddess who shied away from people and preferred the company of animals. So she left her outworld home to live among the creatures of Ireland's wilderness. For over a century, Uaine roamed the glen of two lochs, nestled in the mountains of Ireland's County Wicklow. Sometimes mortals would glimpse her darting green eyes in the dark, or see a wisp of her ruby red hair as she danced among the lush oak forests. But no one dared to follow her home. Uaine lived in a cave hidden behind a beautiful waterfall. Its rapid white water rushed down onto the ferns of the upper loch. But the loch was said to be bottomless, and mortals believed a terrifying monster lurked in its depths, so they stayed away and never hunted in that territory. This arrangement suited Uaine very well, since she was a magical shapeshifter and spent most of her time in animal form. As a bird, she trilled with zebra-striped cuckoos high up in the treetops. As a dappled red deer, she galloped through sweet-scented bluebell fields. In animal form, she could see colours in the wind. Purple blowing from the east, brown from the west, and knew what trees offered the most nutritious nuts and berries. She shared the food with her forest friends, and together they wanted for no more than what they had. But one day, returning home from battle, a band of roaming warrior men known as the Fianna passed through Uaine's territory. Tired and hungry, the men stopped by the loch to wash and to hunt. Uaine considered trying to scare them away, but she was curious about the warriors, famed for living wild as she did. And she was struck by how handsome their leader was, the mighty Fionn McCool. Uaine wondered what it would be like to kiss him. And suddenly life seemed more exciting to her. She stepped out from the safety of her cave and greeted the Fianna. Wild warriors, my name is Uaine. I can offer you shelter and food for as long as you like, but you must promise never to harm the animals in this glen. Enchanted by this beautiful, mysterious woman, Fionn McCool gladly agreed. Uaine led the soldiers into her cave, which wasn't as dark or damp as they expected, but warm and bathed in firelight. The granite ground was carpeted with dark gold leaves, and beds of soft reeds were made ready for every warrior. Uaine offered each man a golden goblet filled with honey mead and served tart berry pies and earthy hazelnut soup. As the warriors ate and drank, she tended their wounds with healing herbs. Finn quickly found himself falling in love with Uaine's kind nature. The next day he invited Uaine to go berry picking in the forest. Once they were alone, he asked all about her home in the glen. "I've never met a woman who lived alone in the wild before," he said, looking at her as if she was a precious sunstone. "Don't you get lonely?" "I have my animal friends for company," Uaine explained. "Well, you have me now too," Finn said, squeezing her hand. Their time together felt very special. Weeks passed like hours as they bathed in the loch, kissed under the moonlight, and promised to be together forever. But Uaine wasn't totally honest with Finn. She didn't tell him of her shape-shifting powers, and as the days passed, Finn began to notice something strange. Every evening, when his soldiers fell asleep, Uaine slipped quietly out of the cave. She never explained where she was going, so one night he followed her to a small clearing in the forest. Finn lay hidden in the trees and watched in horror as Uaine changed out of her human form. Her bones broke and reset. Her skin grew thick with fur, and her beautiful face became a snarling snout. Before Finn's eyes, Uaine transformed into a wolf. As she howled up at the moon, other wolves appeared from the shadows, welcoming her into their pack. Finn now knew this was no ordinary woman. She was magical. "This woman is unnatural," Finn said, fuming to himself, "not to mention dangerous." In truth, he felt sick with jealousy. He couldn't bear to have a girlfriend more powerful than him. So Finn stormed off back to the cave, woke his men, and instructed them to pack their things. As dawn broke, Uaine returned home to find the man she loved suddenly leaving. Finn mumbled excuses about returning to battle, but made no promise to come back or ever see her again. Even though she had been perfectly content before Finn arrived, Uaine now felt achingly alone. So the heartbroken goddess made herself a solemn promise: "Never again will I let a man trespass in my territory or into my heart." Finn went on to journey across Ireland and Scotland. Throughout his travels, the handsome leader fell in love with so many other women that years later, when the Fianna finally passed back through the Glen of Two Lochs, he had forgotten all about Uaine. His latest band of soldiers began hunting in the glen, unaware of the goddess or her reputation. Uaine secretly watched them through a heavy downpour of rain, her green eyes glinting with rage as they hunted frightened deer who cried out in throaty barks. It was one thing for Finn to break his promise of loving her, but he had also vowed never to harm her animal friends. "I'm sorry I ever met you, Finn McCool," Uaine hissed under her breath, "but you'll be the sorry one soon." The gentle goddess had a well-hidden temper, more terrifying than Finn could have imagined. Uaine transformed herself into a red deer and galloped alongside the men, diverting them from the rest of the flock. She ran towards the upper loch and threw herself into the water as if trying to escape. The soldiers took the bait and waded in after her. Sinking under the water, Uaine quickly began to shapeshift. Growing huge, green and scaled, she formed webbed claws like daggers, and in her massive ridged snout grew thick, sharp teeth as long as swords. Uaine was the legendary Loch monster. With her transformation complete, she quickly swam in circles. It caused the loch waters to swell and churn, sending great waves to toss the men back to shore. As she broke up onto the surface, the soldiers screamed to see such a horrible creature with flashing red eyes and a scaly green body like a giant crocodile. Its stinking breath formed a thick mist across the territory, hiding the deer from harm. "Fight back!" Finn cried, rallying his men on, so they drew their swords and attempted to attack, but none could beat her. Uaine fearlessly lashed out at 100 men before they gave up and retreated to safety. Finn and his exhausted Fianna fled through the trees, never to return. Thanks to Uaine, all the deer survived, and the Fianna never hunted at the Glen of Two Lochs again. But seeing Finn again made her realise that her heart was still hurting, so she decided it was time to make a fresh start. Uaine left her glen to roam the Scottish wilderness and swim in fresh lochs, her ruby red hair billowing over the water like blood. And everywhere she went, the legend of the Green Loch Monster followed, chasing away hunters who might harm her animal friends. The end. Another great story from Girls Who Slay Monsters. Until the next one, bye bye.